All right, y'all. We're getting down to the nitty gritty as far as all of this that's kind of occurred. We've been going over all of these different skills of all the phantoms. We're now finally into the light section. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, Luna Goddess, she used to be light. So she would attack an enemy, deal 150 magic damage, and reduce their magic attack by 10 for one turn. She would restore 30% of the health of all teammates and increase their attack bar by 30%, and increase the magic defense of all teammates by 50% for 3 turns. And she would heal an ally with the self-healing, which would restore them or when healing, it would, with the self-healing, restore 6% of their HP each turn for 3 turns. So she functioned as a really, really good healer. However, now, if I remember correctly, this is where she is now. So we can go over Kit real quick, just so you can see it. She now hits really hard, attacks all enemies, causing magic damage equal to 350% magic defense, and restoring HP of all allies equal to 30% of the damage done. So you build her out like a nuker, 380% damage possible, and she still can heal. Heals all allies by 20% of their max HP and increases their magic defense and physical defense by 50% for 2 turns. And that can go on a 4-turn cooldown and can go up to 40% health restoration. And also at the start of each turn, there's a 75% chance to cast continuous healing that will restore HP of the ally with the lowest HP by 15% of the user's max HP for 2 turns. So she also definitely needs to have some HP on her. The chance is 100% once it's done there. So yeah, at the start of everybody's turn, I just wanted to make sure I read that correctly. Start of everybody's turn. So she definitely functions pretty nicely. All right, let's go take a look at Mr. Zeus, who we've all really liked for a long time. So attacks all enemies, deals 140 magic damage up to 200. A2 summons Thunder Chain for one ally, reflecting 35% of the damage received for 3 turns, up to 55%. Then he used to have a passive where 80% chance of paralyzing when he was attacking, up to 100%. And the other passive, 80% chance to deal 140% additional damage to paralyzed enemies. So he definitely had a nice little kit here. Let's take a look at now. Is he better? So he attacks one enemy on the A1, causing 210 magic damage and places stun for 1 turn if the target is paralyzed, up to 240. Very useful. Then he places a counter shield to all allies, reflecting 20% damage for 2 turns, and applies continuous healing to the entire team that recovers 15% HP each turn for 2 turns. And that can go all the way down to a 3-turn cooldown, upwards of damage increased to 30%. So as far as the reflection is going on, looking good, looking pretty good. Definitely different. And then here, attacks all enemies, causing 170 damage, can go up to 210 damage, and can go down to a 2-turn cooldown. So he still can do his thing with a 60% chance to paralyze each enemy for 3 turns. And that can go up to 100%. So that means that he can come in, he can paralyze everybody, and then he can smack with his A1 and start stunning people. Really nice. And here we go. Attacks an enemy who is paralyzed, triggers a bonus attack causing 110 magic damage. So yeah, he can just straight up nuke down some stuff down. So he's looking really, really good to me. I like the change on this kit. It's very solid. All right. So what King Arthur used to do, he would attack an enemy, deal 100 physical damage with a 50% chance to taunt the enemy, all the way up to 100%. Then the second one attacks an enemy 3 times in a row, causing 360 damage in total, with 80% chance of triggering Cleave of Light that causes 90 damage to all enemies and 60% chance to taunt. That would go to 420 total damage on the 3-hitter. And then Cleave of Light would do 120 damage. And then straight up taunt. Straight up taunt. So 80% chance to taunt everybody. So that's pretty cool. That's like chance on top of chance on top of chance. Let's see what he looks like now. So he has just an A1 nuke that's all the way up to 380% damage and 100% chance of removing immortality, invincibility, and a random effect. So he has a chance of removing 2 debuffs along with immortality and invincibility, and 340 again up to 380 attack. So solid. So they turned him into a warrior. So he's going to be a hard hitter. So he attacks one enemy, causing physical defense equal to 500. Additionally, 75% chance to attack all enemies, causing damage equal to 200 physical defense. Taunts the enemy for 2 turns while reducing the enemy attack by 50%. So he still has that AoE taunt, can be a 530 damage of the magic defense or physical defense, and 100% attack. 100% attack. 100% chance to do the taunting, sorry. All right, and then his passive, when attacked by an enemy, 16% chance to counter with Royal Strike, which is the first one there. So that's still, that hits really hard. That can go all the way up to 30%. So definitely interesting, definitely a hard hitter, but definitely a completely different kit. Definitely a completely different kit. All right, let's take a look here at Merlin. By the way, I finally got a Merlin on this account. Finally. All right, attacks one enemy and deals 100 magic damage, 50% chance to absorb the attack bar, creates a magic shield to protect the team, increasing their physical and magic defense by 200. And the 12 hitter that we so lovingly know, doing massive damage and absorbing attack bar. So just yoinking the attack bar away. And increase the magic attack by 30%, up to 45%, which is what he used to do on that passive. Well, let's take a look now. Totally different. Attacks one enemy, causes 100 magic damage. If the target is under the effect of burn, poison, or bleed, all enemies will receive the same damage, so upward to 130. Then here, increases magic defense and physical defense of all allies by 50%, 75% chance to increase their damage by 50% for 2 turns, and 30% chance to reduce the speed of all enemies by 30 turns. So of course they can go up to 100% chance to increase everybody's damage by 50% for 2 turns and can go on a 4-turn cooldown. And then instead of the amazing hard-hitting skill, he still hits pretty decently, but you have to book him out now for sure for that extra damage. 6 times, 70 magic damage reduce, and it does reduce the attack bar by 30%. So the attack bar reducing is pretty good. So I'm wondering if that's every single hit. If every single hit does 30%. So it is really good as far as turn meter control. And especially if you're going up against a boss that allows you to reduce his turn meter, this is going to be huge. And it can be on a 3-turn cooldown. So really nice there. Really nice. Let's take a look to the next one here. So we have Miss Alice. We'll take a look. Attacks an enemy, causing 130 damage, all the way up to 160. Then she would hide in a dream realm, reducing all incoming damage by 70 and placing paralyzed on all enemies. And while the effect lasts, all stacks of illusionary flowers are restored. So up to 85% damage reduction. And then here, Wither, 240 magic damage to all enemies, causing confusion for 1 turn and expending all illusionary flowers. Each illusionary flower increases the damage by 30%. And illusionary flower skill is a passive. Grants 4 stacks of illusionary flowers initially. Each time the user hides in a dimension, the maximum number of illusionary flowers increases by 1%. And when being attacked, consume 1 stack of illusionary flowers to absorb incoming damage equal to 20%. So yeah, she used to be kind of nuts. So let's see what she does now. Attacks all enemies, causing 80% magic damage. Each target that is under the effect of burn, poison, or bleed will be attacked for 1 additional time. That can go up to 110. And then she has an AoE, attacks all enemies, causing 160% magic damage and 75% chance to reduce magic defense and physical defense by 50% for 2 turns on each target. So that actually goes down to 100% chance, 3-turn cooldown. So definitely different. And then this one here, she has another AoE attack, causing 170 magic damage with 75% chance to place bleed for 2 turns on each target. Additionally, increases speed of all allies by 30%. So that's really nice. That can go up to 100%. chance, 200 damage, and that can also be on a 3-turn cooldown. So totally different kit on her. She's not the, what I would look at as kind of like a crazy nuker as she was, quite possibly, you know, with the confusion, just all that stuff, all that she had in her kit was really, really fun. But it seems like they took that away and made her a debuffer. So do I like it? Nah, not really. I like the old kit. The old kit seems like it's a lot more fun, but at least it brings a debuffer into this group. So I think we can probably look forward to seeing more light characters in the future, because the light is the lightest of all the groups. All right, let's take a look at Allie. All right, the A1, 100% magic damage, 35% chance of paralyzing, up to 120% damage. Then the A2 would attack enemies with 320 light damage 3 times, magic damage, not light damage. If she did take somebody out, they couldn't be resurrected. This was on a 2-turn cooldown, and she did up to 380 damage. So really hard-hitting skill there. And then she also had a passive that 300% of the outgoing damage is converted into HP for the ally with the lowest HP, all the way up to 330. So she could actually just heal somebody back up. And then when HP reaches 0, Ailey is granted a shield for 40% and plunges into hibernation for 2 turns. After 2 turns, she will awaken with 40% HP all the way up to 50 HP. So she would just go straight out, and then you'd have to wait on her. But how about now? She better? Attacks one enemy, causing 210 magic damage, 30% chance to reduce the enemy's speed by 30%. That can go up to 50% and the damage up to 240%. Additionally, it places continuous healing on the ally with the lowest HP, restoring 15% of its HP each turn for 2 turns. So that's solid on the A1, especially with the healing ability. The A2 attacks one enemy, causing 370 magic damage, 75 can be booked up to 100% or skilled out to, and cause 400 damage, can go down to a 3-turn cooldown. 75% chance to decrease enemies' damage by 50% for 2 turns, and converts 100% of the damage caused to the lowest ally, which is kind of cool. And then the passive at the start of each of her own turns, 75% chance to randomly remove a debuff from all allies. So that goes up to 100%. So she just removes all debuffs. That's pretty nuts. And then here, upon killing a target, heals an ally with the lowest HP by 40% of their max HP. So she's really, really good at healing, especially, I don't know, it seems like that they're really focusing on these damage dealing, these really damage dealing healers, which is interesting to me. So very, very interesting. All right, Ambassador, 100 magic damage, reduced their speed by 50% on the A1. That's kind of nuts for an A1. Kind of nuts. A2, bombard one enemy with a light cannon 8 times, dealing 320 magic damage, all the way up to 380. And then the passive, after enemies or allies turns, Ambassador of Light, 25% chance to take a turn. So that's after enemies or allies turn. So that means that he could go multiple times. So 1 out of 4 times he's going. Then when the enemy has a debuff, 50 damage is caused by Ambassador Light's attacks. Additional 50 damage. So pretty cool. Let's take a look now. He has 130% magic damage on the A1 single target. And if he successfully crits, another attack is made for the same damage, all the way up to 160 damage. Then he has a random enemies attack, 170 magic damage with a 75% chance to reduce enemy speed by 30% for 2 turns on each target. That can go up to 200 magic damage. Will reduce the enemy speed by 30% and can go down to a 3-turn cooldown. So solid skill there. Then passive, after an ally's turn, 20% chance to act immediately. That's a little bit of a buff. Instead of waiting for the entire team, he can go 20% after any ally, which is kind of cool. And then another passive, when attacking an enemy, if the enemy has a control debuff, so either stun, freeze, sleep, taunt, or charm, an additional 26 magic damage will be dealt to the enemy, all the way up to an additional 40% magic damage. So seems like that he will be able to, doesn't seem like he'll hit that hard, but maybe he has really good multipliers. So we'll see. All right. Beautiful, beautiful Ankaris. Let's see what's up with this one here. So what she used to do, she would do 150 damage. And if the enemy was killed, she would take another turn. Then she would do Chivalry, which would restore her HP and increase her physical attack by 180 for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. That could go up to 35% health restoration, 260 physical attack increase. And then she would slash one enemy, dealing 100 physical damage, and randomly attacks enemies 6 times, dealing 80 physical damage each time. So, of course, she just completely ramps up her damage, and she has always been a straight nuke, all the way up to the random damage going to 105, meaning that the random damage is going to hit even harder, all the 6 random ones. And then here, the passive at the end of turn, there's a 6% chance of summoning the Golden Sword, which causes the next enemy's attack against Ankaris to deal 50% less damage and immediately grant her an additional turn. So that's kind of cool. But let's take a look at her now. Is she changed? Yes, she is. She has a block revive now on her A1. 220 physical damage, 40% chance to reduce the enemy's attack by 50%. And upon killing an enemy, she gets another turn and they can't be revived. And it goes up to a 60% chance and 250 damage. So really solid. She still has Chivalry, so she still does the restoration to herself. However, it is lowered a little bit. So the damage dealt is also greatly decreased. So 30% HP restoration and only 100% damage increase. So not really, really crazy like it was before. But her skills damage has been increased a little bit. So she deals 200 damage and then attacks the enemy 6 times, dealing 65% physical damage and ignores block damage and unkillable buffs on enemies. Now that slash goes up to 100 damage once it's fully booked out there or fully skilled out. So the initial hit is the hardest hitting, and the follow-ups are nowhere near as hard hitting as they were before. So definitely a little bit of a tune and nerf to Ankaris from what I see. We'll have to see. So far for me, it has definitely been a huge nerf because Ankaris was one of my main damage dealers. All right, the passive though is still the same. So 60% chance to bring that sword, and then the next enemy attack against Ankaris deals 50% less damage. So I guess no chance on that one, and then immediately grants her a turn, and then 65% less damage. So very, very solid there. It's really cool though that she has that skill because it kind of serves as a protection for her because of kind of who she is. Like she's a damage dealer, but she's open to being attacked because she may be built like a little bit of a wet noodle. So interesting. All right, let's talk about Gleam Guardian. He had 140% magic damage, 35% chance of slowing a single enemy, A2, 300 magic damage, and reduce their physical attack by 50%, single target. The A3 was a heal by 180 of the user's magic up to 210. That was on a 1-turn cooldown, so you can just pop heals over and over and over again. And then the passive at the beginning of Gleam Guardian's turn, 25% chance of removing all control effects and restoring HP equal to 10% of match HP, all the way upwards to an 80% chance of removing them and restoring 16% of that HP. So let's take a look now. Let's see what he has. Now he has 3 skills. First one, attacks all enemies, 130% magic damage, 25% chance to slow enemies for 2 turns, and increases his own attack bar by 15%. So that chance can go up to 50% and a damage up to 160%, but does not look like that the attack bar goes up anymore. All right, the A2, instantly revive an ally, restoring 15% of allies' HP upon reviving, and grant immediate turn to the revived ally. So that goes to what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. So that can be a 3-turn cooldown that you can make like a wet noodle, let them get knocked out and then revive them. And then they just smack again. That's pretty cool. And 35% HP restoration. So definitely be wary about that once he's fully booked out. And the passive, upon death, heals an ally with the lowest HP by 70% of their HP, all the way up to 100%. So just a straight heal if he gets knocked out. So to me, it would be kind of cool to stack with another reviver that brings him back and you work out that way. All right, Victoria, who definitely got changed, but I think a little bit for the better. So we'll see. So her A1 used to remove all buffs. Except buffs that could not be removed on a single enemy. Didn't do much damage, but just yoinked every buff possible. And then she would restore 50% max HP of all users and clear all debuffs on a 2-turn cooldown, all the way up to 30% health restoration. So pretty cool. Then she would slash one enemy 6 times in a row, causing 60 physical damage each time, all the way up to 78 damage. So a little bit of a hard hitter. And then this one here, Moonsword, our passive. After each Victoria ally's turn, 1 stack of blades is granted for 4 turns, up to the maximum of 6 stacks. Each stack of blade increases physical attack by 30%, all the way up to 50%. So that would make her hit way, way, way harder. All right. And that is the last that we have here. So let's look at her skills now. So the A1 attacks enemies, causing 100% physical damage. If the enemy is under the effect of burn, poison, or bleed, the attack will be repeated 4 times, causing 200 damage instead. So not 100% sure if that's 200 damage on all the attacks or what. Like, is that just a straight up nuke? Damage increases to 130. It makes me think that it's still just a single one, and it might be total 200 damage. But if that's like 800 damage, that's going to be a nuts A1, but I don't think so. All right. Revives an ally with 50% HP, increases their attack bar by 50%, and grants block damage for 2 turns. And that can go all the way down to a 4-turn cooldown. The HP restoration 65%. So a decent A2 that brings a revive. And she still has an A1. So, I'm sorry, she still has a really hard hitting skill here. So it can go up to 400 total damage. And it can clear the attack bar. So it just hits the enemy 6 times. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. So they did change that skill, but it's one hard hitting skill that yoinks that attack bar completely. So they won't be able to go. Then when attacking, increases attack bar of all allies by 10%. And that can go down to every single attack that she does. Right now, it starts out with a 3-turn cooldown, but it can go to every single attack. So really, really solid skills there. All right, well, that is the Light Phantoms. We've covered every last one of these. Again, they are subject to change, so we will see some changes. Even when the game goes live, there may be a little bit changes to how things are worded or how we see things. So make sure to expect those changes. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for sitting here and watching another Summoners Glory video. Appreciate you guys. And make sure to like and subscribe for more Summoners Glory content. We'll be covering, especially once the new update goes live. I think it's going to be as soon as this week. It's very likely that it can be as soon as this week. They want to get it in before July 4th, but we'll see. We'll see for sure. But either way, stay tuned. It's going to be very, very soon. And we'll be able to hop in and start enjoying the Summoners Glory game even more so again. So talk to you guys next time and have a great day. Peace.